Hey guys, how you doing? JP Sarricolea here, and welcome again to another episode, this week's episode of Age of Heroes, my podcast. Thank you for the support. Thank you for listening. It has been a fantastic week for sure. Busy week for me. I've been doing all kind of stuff in all my channels. I have a lot of channels now, but I'm so excited for the opportunity to really do what I do. It's a blessing to be able to share my passions and to talk about collectibles, about movies, talk about my spiritual journey with my wife on my channel, Born Again TV. You follow me on YouTube, Born Again, or Facebook. All the links are in the description for those who are interested. But it's been a crazy week. And this week, actually, in my main channel, JP Sarricolea Reviews, I talk about the top 10 comics for Captain America. For those who are familiar or with this, Captain America is celebrating its 80th anniversary. In March is the celebration. It was March 1941, which the first Captain America comic book was published. Actually, it wasn't published in March. It was published in December 1940, which is a year prior to the Battle of Pearl Harbor, the attack of Pearl Harbor, which it really tells us something, and it really changed a lot of things. So today, in this podcast this week, I really want to follow on that. If you haven't watched that video, I will have the link in the description, so you can watch my top 10 comics of all time. Up to this point of Captain America, and there's plenty to talk about. I really share the stories that to me are the most influential, the most important, most iconic. But in today's podcast, I really want to expand on that because I feel that Captain America is a character that really deserves a lot of attention and deserves a lot of respect, and he really means a lot for Americans. He means a lot for us. But there's more to it. There's more than just the patriotic colors or just the shield, the iconic shield. There's a lot to Steve Rogers that we can take from and we can learn from. But while we're doing that, while we talk about the podcast, if you're watching this in YouTube, I'll have some gameplay on the background. I am a big fan of Marvel versus Capcom. I love the whole franchise. And Captain America is one of my favorite characters there to play all the time. So I'm going to have some gameplay, and Marvel vs. Capcom has been for a while, so there's so many iterations of this franchise. So I'll have some gameplay of Cap, so you can enjoy if you like to have some images there instead of just looking at my face, so you can enjoy that. But I'm telling you, I really, really love Captain America. It's a character that I have such great respect, and I gotta be honest, at the beginning when I was a kid, I didn't care much about Cap. I understood Cap. I always found it to be very easy to understand, to comprehend. But the older I've gotten, of course, the years pass, then you become more mature, of course. You grow up, your ideals, the way you are changes. And I can find myself more in tune with Cap. I feel that the older I get, the more mature I get, the more I can understand the character, or the more I feel, connected to him, because he's a character that has a lot of facets. And even though at first impression, Captain America is a simple man, is a soldier, a man out of time, a man of strong ideals, I think that Captain America has always been a man that has struggled as well with his place in time, his place in society, and the way he sees things, so his ideals, his beliefs. And it's a man that really we can learn from a lot. And that's the reason I wanted really to expand on my video this week on my main channel on the top 10 comics, because I think Captain America is more than just comics. I think he represents a lot of the way we see the world and the way we see ourselves, and the way we even see this experiment that it's America, because America is an experiment in itself. And I feel that Captain America represents those values, and also the questions and the challenges of America. And I think that's the reason why he's such a rich character, and one that continues to steer a lot of controversy all the time in comics and movies. because it's a character that people see as, as an ideal more than anything else. So I really want to talk about it. But, when you really talk about Captain America, you have to go back to the beginning. You always have to go back to the introduction of the character. I always see people thinking that Captain America, it's, he represents the values of America. He does, for sure. But he was a political statement. And people don't want to hear this a lot. And I see that all the time because people, they seem to dislike when Captain America, particularly in comics, but also in movies, where he makes some statements. And of course, in the movies, the MCU has brought Captain America's popularity even more beyond just the comics and into the all sorts of media. And people love Captain America now more than ever. People enjoy the character. Of course, the Captain America, the first Avenger film, was a terrific film. I love that film because, and of course, it's a great representation of Captain America. And he's a vital part of the MCU. We love the character in the MCU. It's just, he's so rich and so full of energy. And it's a character that represents the best of the best. And definitely the MCU, the directors, the people involved in the MCU have done a terrific job in representing those aspects of Captain America. And really people embrace him. He's the hero of America. And yes, there are other heroes out there. Superman is a great hero. And we talk about Spider-Man, we talk about the X-Men, we talk about Batman. All these characters are terrific, but Captain America is the most patriotic. It was not the first patriotic hero, but he is the most patriotic, not only because of the colors, but because the way he is, because he embraces America in a way that people feel the connection with it. So it's great to see that all the time. And yeah, the MCU has done a terrific job in really representing those aspects, those facets of Captain America. But the character beyond America, beyond the love to America, he has always been a political statement from the get-go. Going back to the beginning when the character was introduced, Joe Simon, Jack Kirby, they were very young, and they were just trying to, leave a mark in a business that, in that moment, the comics were very popular in America. But superhero comics were growing and expanding. National, which later became DC Comics, already had Superman. They already had Batman, came out in 1939, Superman 1938. Even Fawcett Comics, or Easy Comics, already had the Captain Marvel, Shazam. So there was a popularity there, and comics were selling really, really quick. And also in 1940, the Justice Society of America was already created, and it was already in publication. But at that moment, comics were more for kids. They were selling well, and the heroes, were battling all these foes, like thugs and people, like that, gangsters and stuff like that. But nothing that has to do with political stuff. So when Jack Kirby and Joe Simon came into the picture, they were just looking for work. And at the same time, they are these two Jewish creators, young men, that they still are not satisfied with what's happening in Europe. Of course, this is the what we still don't know the big picture. They still don't see the big picture that was happening in Germany, the extermination of Jews by the Nazis. So there's a lot of unknowns, but people were dissatisfied. America was divided too. A lot of people were in support of the Nazis. There were a lot of strong support for Germany in America, and also there were people that were in favor of against Germany. So you see these two factions in America. So like in many cases, comics were not political. They were trying not to get political. Of course, that will mean to divide your audience. And you don't want that. So you want to sell comics, and comics are for kids. But they were looking for work. And when they came to Timely Comics, and they had the opportunity to work there, they were given the green light to create that message. Of course, Goodman, the owner of Timely Comics, he was also Jew. And to him, that it really touches home. It was touching home what was happening in Germany. So they decided, he let him go, gave him the green light, and they came out with the first issue, which is an amazing issue. When you see Captain America just, really punch in the face of Hitler. And that was a political statement. That was a political statement to the point that it created, a lot of controversy, but a lot of people were happy about it. It sold close to 1 million copies, just the first issue alone. And they continue on for the 10 more issues until things didn't work out as well with Timely, so they parted ways and they went to National. But Kirby and Simon. But it was selling well. It was doing so good, and every single issue was actually, if you look at those covers, amazing covers. Captain America punching a Nazi or punching someone in World War II, and that was prior to World War II, to the intervention there. And it is amazing. And yes, there were a lot of death threats, and people were unhappy, and there were people even standing right outside the offices in New York trying to dissuade them to work there. But even the Major LaGuardia, he got involved in the process and sent some officers, police officers, just to protect the building, because it was a statement. There were people that were in favor of Germany, but there were a lot of people that were against Germany. And ultimately, of course, Pearl Harbor happened, and they went into the war. And even Kirby had to be enlisted. They were enlisted and they had to go to war. And it was 1943. And it's amazing. Captain America survived. He was one of the most iconic. And when you look at all the heroes of the golden age of comics, many have still, have survived. And now, we have, of course, Superman, you have Batman, Wonder Woman, all of them. And many of them have made a comeback. But from all the patriotic heroes, the one that really survived the test of time through all that definitely was Captain America. He was so super popular during that time. Then, of course, after World War II, the return of a lot of GIs, a lot of all the people that were there, a lot of the soldiers, there was a change in America. Of course, I think a lot of people experienced the horror of war. So heroes, they were ideals, and at the same time, people have seen the worst of the worst in mankind. So there was a deviation. People were looking into other things. So that's when superheroes comics start fading away, and we saw an increase of horror comics and also love, this romance comics. And Simon and Kirby were a part of that too. They were some of the pioneers on that. But so the heroes die out. It was, Timely Comics became Atlas Comics, and in the between 1950 and 53, they tried to revive the superheroes. Captain America, he became the leader of the All-Winner Squad and all of that. It didn't really do well. So the character kind of died out. They couldn't even give him a farewell. But it was until the Silver Age. It was in the Silver Age when, at the return, of course, the Fantastic Four became a success. Then we have the Avengers. But the Avengers needed a leader. And Stan Lee was eager to bring Captain America back. And the opportunity was given. And Avengers 4 was that opportunity. And it's an iconic issue, of course, to see Captain America to be revived and becoming the leader that the Avengers needed. And he was part of the Avengers for a very, very long time. From that moment on until pretty much everything that has to do with the Avengers, he has been. And sometimes he hasn't been the leader. Sometimes he has walked away. Other people have taken the mantle. But he is the message, the image that a lot of people see on a leader. And Captain America embodies that so well. The Captain America story, and that was an issue. Then, of course, was 1968. That's when, after the success, he was working with, it was actually those comics with Iron Man that he was kind of side by side. You divide those comics. One is Iron Man, the other one is Captain America, and he was doing well. So that's the reason why he came back in 1968 with issue 100 in his solo run that lasted for a very long time until 1996. But of course, they recon the whole thin. Issue 109. That's when you see the Captain America, of course, the origin story, of course, that he was, the way they really presented the case of what happened to him, that he was, what happened during the World War II and all of that. So issue 4, of course, he was in ice and all of that. He came out of the ice. And amazing, to be honest with you, the whole story, of course, when you come to think scientifically and you come to really consider those factors, is that probable that he was in ice? Or even if he was in ice, can anyone survive like that? Of course, there's a lot of fiction here, and the way they did it back in the 60s, I think people were able to believe anything. Whatever the reason was, or whatever the scientific facts behind it, the good thing is that we have Captain America back. And the character really led the Avengers for a very long time in so many ways. Some of the most amazing stories in the Avengers. And you know, Captain America, it's always been that character at the center of a lot of things. One thing that I've always loved about Captain America is the fact that no matter the odds, he's always there. He's always there to fight until the last drop of blood. You know, that's the guy. That's who he is as a character. And every writer has built upon that foundation over the years. It's something that I have enjoyed, and I mentioned that on my video, is that the good thing about Captain America is that it has always had some of the best writers in Marvel Comics. Every writer has done something good for Captain America. They have cemented something, and the next writer that follows up, always adds something more to the big picture. And that's the reason why Captain America has such a rich history. It's a character that has, in many ways, hasn't changed much, but in so many others have changed a lot. And he's constantly asking himself questions. And that's one thing that I really love about that. And I feel that some writers have expanded on that even more. Every writer expands on it in a deeper way. And like I was saying earlier, he was a political statement from the get-go. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't like Captain America to be political. I don't want comics to be political. But the fact is that Captain America in itself, the whole persona, it's a political statement. And when you go through the reading parts, all the messages throughout the years, every writer, every statement that they made through it, you know, through the character, has really been political. You know, from his comeback in the Avengers, what things he's fighting, representing America in itself, you know, with his shield, with his costume. You know, he is America, you know, in so many ways. He's always, he's a person that intervenes in situations where he's defending those that don't have the power to defend themselves. And he did it all the time. Even when Jack Kirby left for a time, went to work for DC, and then he came back around the bicentennial, the whole story, you know, within that time, we have the introduction of the Falcon, for example. And the Falcon, who was the first African-American superhero in comics. Yes, Black Panther was first, but he was African. He was the first African-American Falcon. And he was a partner for many issues. And we saw so many good writing during that time. Now, Englehart was a fantastic writer for many, many issues. He did a lot of great storylines. And one of them, Secret Empire, was during the Watergate scandal. It was really when Captain America realizes a lot of things are happening within the government. And it was the first time actually Captain America dissents with the government in a big way. You know, after that point, Captain America is always defending, always being a good soldier. But now this is the time for him to dissent. And he does. Of course, he becomes Nomad. Fantastic storyline. And we're talking about the 70s. You know, this is a time, you know, where, you know, sometimes people think, oh, Captain America is not political. I'm sorry, but I don't know what Captain America you read, because Captain America has always been, from the get-go, through the 60s, through the 70s, always been a message in Captain America. He is idealistic, but at the same time, he's independent in so many different ways. He's not, this is the part where I think people love Captain America. It's because he can be embraced by anyone. He can be embraced by people that have conservative values. And a lot of conservatives have embraced Captain America because of that, because he embodies some of those conservative values. At the same time, liberals embrace Captain America because he also embraced some of that. He embodies some of that. Captain America is in the middle. Captain America represents America in so many ways, because Captain America Steve Rogers not only loves his country, at the same time, he's not always happy with his country. He embraces the American experiment, the American ideals. But at the same time, he understands and he questions those ideals. And that's the thing that makes Captain America such a special character that can be embraced by anyone. He represents us all in all our divisions and our mindset and our questions and our questioning. I feel that that's what makes Captain America so unique as a character in comparison to Superman, in comparison to Spider-Man or Batman, because they all are different. Of course, every character has a different story, represents different ideals or different mindsets. But Captain America really embodies the whole of America, not only the best of America, also some of the worst of America, and also the doubts of America. We have, and this experiment that we live, that to this day, sometimes we question ourselves in this country. We question ourselves, our beliefs. We question the way we live. We question the way we envision or we see the Constitution. we question the way we see authority. And I feel that that's what Captain America Steve Rogers has always been, a question. It is a question about what America is and what being American is. And that's the best part. And definitely many of the writers really questioned those, made those questions through every page. And of course, that was that. Of course, then Jack Kirby came by the bicentennial. Also, they were great. The art was fantastic. Of course, Jack Kirby, by that time, his experimental art has become such a staple to the point that it's unique and it's just so Jack Kirby. People try to imitate that art, but no one can do it the way he did it. It's simple as that. Jack Kirby is Jack Kirby, bottom line. And of course, then in the aftermath, we saw so many great stories. Mark Grunwald, he was terrific. For 10 years, he wrote the character, and he expanded on the political ideals and the political ideas and the concepts with the character. There was a lot of stuff that happened during that time with Mark Grunwald. And man, I'm telling you, he was terrific. Captain America has always been a leader. That's the part when I was mentioning in my video too, is like, it's every challenge that happened, like for example with Secret Wars in the 80s. Secret Wars was the concept of the desire was to sell toys. That was bottom line. But I love even though when you go back and read Secret Wars, of course, from that perspective now as I'm older, of course you see the desire to it's more childish. It's a storyline that is really directed to kids. It was the purpose. But I love that Captain America stands always at the end of the battle. He wins the battle. He defeats Dr. Doom. One thing I love about that, going back to that, and he did the same thing with Thanos on the Infinity Gauntlet, even though he was defeated. One thing I love is that at the last minute, even when everything is lost, Captain America is always standing still. Even Mark Waid did that when he wrote in the 90s Captain America, when he's confronting the Red Skull. He is the man at the end of the rope, always at the end of the rope, doing what he knows is best or what is right. Even though everything works against him, he's not running away from the challenge. He runs towards the challenge. And this is the thing that I feel that embodies some of our American spirit. I feel that as Americans, I'm not saying we're perfect. I think all men are equal. And that includes not only Americans, includes everyone around the world, because sometimes we lose that concept. I think on that Americanism, we think we're the best of the best. And I feel that we feel like that sometimes. And it's okay to feel you are the best. You're better than anybody else. You're the best, that it is about anything. But I feel that what really encompasses our spirit is that we don't run away from challenge. We embrace challenge. I think that's what makes America great. We embrace the challenge, and Captain America is that person that no matter the odds, he runs towards the fire. He's like a fireman. He is like a police officer, and that's the reason why we respect the police officers and firemen. Yes, they're not perfect. There are also bad apples there. But for the most part, every person that goes into this type of jobs in the military or anything, most of them, they do it because they have great ideals, because they have ideals and they want to honor and respect, and love and safeguard other people. And they do it because they love their country, but also they love their countrymen. So they run towards the fire, and that's Captain America. He runs towards the fire. He's not running away from it. He's running towards it. And that's what I think is the best part of it. And then when you watch an Avengers Endgame, for example, Avengers Endgame is a fantastic film because of that. Because in the end, this is the most iconic moment for me in the MCU. The most iconic. When you see, in the theater was amazing. Of course, the theater was full when I was watching Avengers Endgame. And people were excited, ecstatic to watch that moment. When Captain America is there, after he battles, he's battling, Thanos. He's almost defeated. The shield is broken, busted, and the battle that, that ensued before that was amazing. Of course, he's holding the Mjolnir and all of that because he's worthy of carrying that. It's amazing. It's an amazing moment. It was full of energy, but he's defeated, destroyed. The shield is broken. He's busted, bloody, dirty, filthy, all over, but he just, tightens that shield again. The belt and the shield, amazing moment. And he's ready for the bout. He's not going down. and it is silent. The whole movie theater was silent, and the whole place was silent, quiet. Even there's no music in the background of the film. It is a very, it's a very aesthetic moment. It is a moment that is so beautiful to watch, but also it's a moment so powerful. And all of a sudden, of course, you hear the voice of Falcon, which is amazing. It is an amazing moment, but really, not only because it's an amazing moment, and this is the best part of it, not only because it represents a great instance of the MCU, but it was not the origin of that. All of that is taken from everything that happened before it in comics. It was the moment when, in the Infinity Gauntlet, Captain America standing against Thanos, and Thanos about to punch him, and he doesn't even flinch. Captain America doesn't even close his eyes. He's ready to take it. And it's an amazing moment. Captain America has always been like that, and you see that in every single battle. Also, you saw it with Mark Waid in the 90s when he wrote when he was fighting the Red Skull, and the Red Skull, he's deep power, he has no serum, and he's just this decrepit, skinny man fighting with a broken shield, no shield. He has like this power shield, and he's just fighting back. He is like that in every single situation, and there's so many instances you see in comics where Captain America is the last man standing against all odds. And for casualty or pure luck, he wins, or something happens that changes the outcome. But I'm telling you, this is, I think, what the value of America, this is the representation of American spirit. That yes, we have our ways, sometimes not good ways, but we stand our ground. And I feel that that's the best thing. I think that's the reason why we really connect with this character in a deeper way. And I feel that not only that, I feel that people around the world connect with Captain America because of it. Yes, some people connect with him in deeper ways, of course, because we connect with him more because he represents America and we are Americans. But I feel that other people around the world, they love the character because of that. Even though I'm American, but I grew up in Mexico. I was born in Mexico. And I'm telling you, I always love the character because he represents some of the best ideals. And I feel that everyone can embrace that because ultimately America is more than just a country. America is more than just this place we live, the borders that we have. It's more than the flag. It's more than, the national anthem. It's more than the White House. It's more than just the Capitol, the DC. It's more than those landmarks that we have in this country. It's more than our history. It is an ideal. America is an ideal. It's always been a place of hope, a place for everyone to be free. And that's the reason why people come to this country all the time. And that's the reason why these two Jew creators, artists that were trying to make ends meet, Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, the children of immigrants, the Jewish immigrants, they found a place to build something up. They created that image. They brought this character. And they represented the best of American spirit. And I feel that that's an amazing, yes, and even Captain America, he's Irish. Steve Rogers is an Irish, the son of immigrants as well. So you see all these variations and the beauty of our country where we have so much difference. There are a lot of things. And I know sometimes it's easier to be misguided and to miss the forest for the trees by when we see something, and I've seen the criticism. Like, for example, right now, Captain America has gone through a lot of things and changes in comics. Of course, you saw Civil War event, and I always going to love that Civil War, and I'm going to love the writing of Ed Brubaker. I think Ed Brubaker was terrific and fantastic. He built upon the foundation of everyone else before him and brought one of the most amazing stories that, of course, was part of the Captain America, the Winter Soldier film, and it was used there. It was an amazing story because he has the espionage elements, all of the elements that really fit so well with Captain America as a soldier. And it was good. And we have seen the writing with Ta-Nehisi Coates, for example, most recently. And I would say that I'm not completely sold on his writing for Captain America. I love his stuff with Black Panther. I think it fits the character so well because Black Panther has always been a philosophical character. And I feel that it's always been part of the character from the get-go. And I think that Don McGregor did expanded on that and the character more. And, of course, after that, we have seen, of course, the priest run and all of that. So I feel that it really... Black Panther is perfect for philosophical ideals or ideas. I think Captain America, yes, can be philosophical at times, but some people don't like him being philosophical. And I feel that Ta-Nehisi also talks about some issues that also are divisive for some people. However, and I'm trying to be defender of Tanahashi here, and his style. I feel that when people say, well, and I listen to some podcasts, not all, because at the end I didn't like the podcast, and I'm not gonna mention what podcast is. I found it very kind of insulting. They were really saying, well, Tanahashi hates America. I don't think he hates America. He's American after all. But as Captain America, he has questioned the ideals of America. And what we're saying with Captain America, it's not like that. He doesn't hate America because now he's a hater. Now he's just pulling propaganda, liberal propaganda. All that. I don't know how I got into that podcast, but I got into the podcast, listened to it. And until I say, you know what, no more. This is just trash and garbage. So I let it go. Because there's a lot of garbage in podcasts too. Like there's a lot of garbage in YouTube. And so sometimes don't waste your time listening to stupid stuff. Just bottom line. Listen to stuff that enriches you and make you grow and also think. And I feel that when I read that, because with Tanahashi wrote, it's about there are two Americas, and Captain America is divided in these two Americas. In so many ways we are. Of course, with recent times, with everything that happened politically here in the country, we have seen that America is divided. But the thing is this, America has always been divided. There's always been these two factions, a faction that wants things to remain the same. And sometimes, there are good things that they need to remain, but there are things that actually need to go. But the conservatives actually embrace everything, in a way that sometimes they don't let go of certain things that actually they need change. They don't want to change. They just want to stay the same. And unfortunately, no society can remain the same. It has to evolve. And then you have the liberals that sometimes they go overboard, and you live in the sky thinking that everything has to change, that everything is bad. Everything is bad, even the things that were good. And when you start looking at everything as a mistake, then we get into this cancel society. We start canceling everything because everything is bad. Because this person saw me wrong, and this person said this, and he had some double intention there. There's a double standard in everything. You have to be careful not to fall prey of that as well. You can be paranoid. You can become a paranoid in one way, but just always seeing things like that. So you have two sides. You have the side that always wants things to be the same, no change. Everything has to be so rigid. And then you have the side that wants everything to be so free-spirited that you don't have control of anything. So you have to have a balance. And Captain America is at the center always. And I think Tanahashi can explore that idea as well. I wouldn't say his run was the best. I don't think it is. But at least he's exploring ideas. And Captain America has always been that character in comics that always explore those ideas and really questions what it means to be American and what America truly is. And it's good. I like that. I feel that, again, going back to that point, when people say, Captain America or comics shouldn't be political at all, I feel that, I'm sorry, but I think you're reading the wrong comics. Because my comics, and I read comics for a long time. I was born in the late 70s. Although I read a lot of the 70s stuff, my father was a comic book reader, so I read a lot of the Bronze Age stuff. I have read the Silver, I have read the Golden Age. I read everything. If you follow my channel, and you know that I love comics, and I talk about comics. I'm very passionate about comics and characters. I have no issue with comics. I love comics, but the comics that I learned and I read over the years have always had some political connotations that always challenge the status quo. And it's good that the status quo gets challenged. Matter of fact, we need for the status quo to be challenged all the time. And the comics are doing so, and they have always done. Of course, there were a time where, they kind of deviate a little bit or they don't do it as much. And recently it seems that they do it more than ever. And sometimes that's not good. I think that there has to be a balance. One thing is to be entertained. It's important to learn and be entertained at the same time. But at the same, you don't want to comics to become just mouthpieces of agendas. They have to question. And that's the thing I think that I enjoy a lot about a lot of the writing in the 70s and 80s and many great writers. I feel that they asked the questions, they didn't give you the answers. I feel that that's the problem with comics. And maybe I need to talk about it in another podcast. I feel that sometimes writers want to give you the answers. And I don't think that the answers need to be made. I think people need to question themselves to really find the answers. It's an individual choice. And I feel that that's something that Captain America has always been good at. I feel that asking the questions, what is good and what is bad? And ultimately, it leaves the reader to decide what is good and what is bad. And I think that's when comics are more powerful than ever. It's when they're not really telling you what you need to believe. It's when they're telling you and they're presenting you with the questions that you need to ask yourself. Kind of like when what was that, iRobot? I love that part of iRobot when, in this case, Will Smith is really trying to figure it out with this. Of course, the doctor, now he's dead, but he lives this program. And this program is telling him, trying to figure it out, who did it, who is the killer, who is the one behind everything. And ultimately, he's asking questions. And always the program is telling him back, you need to ask the right questions, until he asked the right question, which was another question. And he said, well, now you have asked the right question. Maybe you watched that film, maybe you didn't. You haven't, I recommend you to watch it because it has some philosophical elements that are very powerful. Ultimately, it's about asking the right questions. You have to ask the right questions. And Captain America is that. He is a questioner. He's a person that questions life. Yes, he follows through. Now, when you come to think about, I don't think Captain America, if we have to choose what political leaning he has, I don't think he is a conservative. I don't think he's a Republican. I don't think he's a liberal. I don't think he is a Democrat. Captain America is a libertarian. Bottom line, he has always been a libertarian. He's independent in his way of thinking. He doesn't want the government to be intervened. That's what we saw in the writer with Grunwald, when the government came to him and says, well, we gave you everything you have, so you become an asset. You are an operative. You are a soldier. You have to answer to us. And he gets back and says, well, I don't belong to anyone. I'm independent. I'm a man. I'm myself. I already served my country. I did what I needed to do. I have loved my country. I love my people, but I'm not going to follow your games. I'm not going to play your game. So he walks away from it. He becomes a captain. And of course, later on, he regains again the shield. But I'm telling you, this is the best thing about that. Captain America has always go against in this case, the tide. In Civil War, when Captain America, he is fighting, against this registration act where all the superheroes have to register and all of that. He really showcases that he is a man that is not in favor of controlled government. He's not in favor. Again, he's a libertarian. He's not in favor of this overseeing, Big Brother involving into the matters of personal life and personal choice. And he is very open about that. Even, like one of the most amazing things that happened there in the whole Civil War, crossover was that speech when Spider-Man, after, of course, he because of the registration that he has to present his persona, he showcases who he is to the public, all of that happened there. One of the most amazing situations, Spider-Man comes to Captain America for advice. And they're talking about why, he wants to know how he feels about the situation, because he's on the side of Iron Man, but he doesn't really feel comfortable with that. And ultimately, there's a speech, the very powerful speech that was later used on Captain America's Civil War in the MCU. Doesn't matter what the press says. Doesn't matter what the politicians or the mob says. Doesn't matter the whole country decides that something is wrong, is something right. This nation was founded, not one principle above all else. The requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. I love that. I always love that. Fantastic. Straczynski did a terrific job on that writing there. It is a fantastic speech that really tells us that. And it really showcases the persona of who he is, Steve Rogers. He's a man of principle, a man that believes that if you believe in something is right, you need to stand for what you believe. Even if the whole world is against you, even if the whole world tells you you're wrong, if you believe it, you need to stand for it. It is an ideal. It is American itself. The ideals that we believe in. Yes, we have our ways, not always the best ways. And yes, this also can give room sometimes to embrace ideals that are not necessarily the best. But it's important that we question that. It's important that we have principles. It's important that we embrace those principles. It's important that we have this character. And I think that's the best thing about Cap, is that he is a man of character. A man that believes what he believes and he embraces that and he defends his ideals. And I think that there's something that we can all learn from. And I love that. I think it's a fantastic speech that really shows that. And of course, ultimately, he realizes his mistake. And ultimately, he's the one that surrenders when he realizes that, he's causing more strife with his own strong ideals. And he walks away from it. He surrenders. And ultimately, he gets killed too in Captain America 25 by Brubaker. Of course, he he survives, and all that he comes back. But I'm telling you, Captain America is a man that in so many ways is so easy to understand, but at the same time he is very, I would say, difficult. But at the same time he has a strong moral code to the point that it's hard to emulate. But at the same time, you feel connection with his heart and his mind. He's a character that deserves a lot of respect because of that. And I feel that like I was saying earlier, the older I'm getting, the more connections I feel, the more connected I feel with his way of thinking. Life is not easy. Now coming really to the end of the podcast, the character has been so good, so good for comics. Definitely has been a banner for Marvel Comics for a long time. The character has been portrayed so well in the MCU, really well. The character has been in cartoons and video games, and he's always the same character in so many ways. And when I was younger, I thought that he was just a two-dimensional character. But the older I'm getting, the more I realize that he's not. And in many ways, he represents us. This is the thing. This is the funny thing. When I was younger, I thought I was very free-spirited. But as I gotten older, I realized that I'm not as free-spirited as I thought I was. That I'm more, that I love structures. I love to have the walls around me that protect me. And it's easier to live on those walls. I feel that we build those walls as we get older, as we experience life. We become less idealistic, and we embrace sometimes the monotony of life. And it's so easy to embrace that because it's comfortable. But sometimes we need to challenge those walls. We need to push those walls out, and we need to expand our territory. We need to expand the way we see the world. And I feel that that's what Captain America is. He loves his country. He's comfortable with it. He's comfortable in defending and doing what he knows is best as a soldier. But at the same time, he pushes those walls out because he needs to expand his way of thinking. And I feel that we need that. It's so easy sometimes to confuse patriotism with nationalism. And I feel that there's a big difference there. You can be patriotic. And it means that when you are patriotic, you defend not only your country, you love the people in your country. We even saw that in the MCU on Thor when he says, well, Asgard is not a place, it's the people. And I feel that America is not the place. It's not the borders. It's not this land. It is the people. America is the people. And we all come with differences. We all have differences. And one thing we can learn from Captain America is that we embrace us. We embrace the landscape of our land, which is not the mountains, which is beautiful. America's beautiful land, deserts, mountains, ravines, rivers, so much stuff, plains, land, it's so much land here. But most importantly, we embrace the landscape that is the people, and the differences, different races, different ethnicities, different religious point of views, different ideas of how America should be governed. We embrace that. And I think that the best thing about Cap has always been that he embraces the freedom, because at the end of the day, he is a beacon of freedom. He is that. He's a beacon of hope. And America is about freedom. We all live in this land. We all share common goals. We want, pursuit of happiness. We have been bestowed by our God with that freedom and the ability and the desire to look and search for happiness and fulfillment. And I feel that that's the best thing about America. And I think that's the best thing about Captain America that represents those ideals. Are we perfect? I don't think so. Are we in the place that we need to be? Are we the perfect utopia that sometimes we think we are? We are not. It's so easy sometimes to see the good in us that we miss the opportunity to really see some of the things that need work and they need to be changed. And that we're not the best in everything, and there are things that we can improve. And I feel that Captain America is that example. And it's the reason why the character is so beloved, and the reason why people feel connection with him, regardless of political leaning, regardless of, religious beliefs. I think a lot of people can feel the connection. You can be Jewish, you can be Christian, you can be Muslim, you can be agnostic, you can be anything and still feel the connection with the character. And that's always good. And I think that's the best thing about Captain America. So I would say that now that we're celebrating that 80th anniversary, It's a lot to think of, and that's the reason why I wanted to talk about it. I was actually looking forward to this podcast because I love the character, and the more I embrace it, the more I read of him, the more I get back to read some of the old stuff and the newer stuff. I feel that the more I say, you know what, Cap, you understand me well. Steve, you really understand me. I feel you, man. I feel you. I feel the same way you feel. I understand how you think about certain things. I can see that you question yourself, and I question myself too. I feel that we all do, and we should all do. If you think that your life is perfect and you're the perfect image of a man, and then definitely you're missing a lot. Because honestly, in the end, we are all in this earth learning, and it's a process that is we're constantly changing, transforming. And I'm so grateful to live in America. I love this country. I love this land. I love the people of the land. Sometimes I even love my enemies in that sense, because sometimes even the people that actually gives us the hardest time are the people that really push us to be better. And we have to embrace that. And I say that, Captain America, you have done a lot of great job here. And I'm grateful for the writing. I'm grateful for Jack Kirby and Joe Simon for bringing this character, for Stan Lee for many years as a writer, for every writer, Grunwald, Engelhard, Brubaker, even Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm grateful for every person. Mark Waid, all of them have done something for the character. Roger Stern, you name it. Many writers have done fantastic with the guy, Jurgens. So it's important to really see this in perspective and really look at this character as he is. He embodies us, and even in the best ways and also in our bad ways. But he's a character that really, 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 again, represents what America is and should be. So my friends, I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to the podcast. It is a pleasure. Thank you for watching. You're doing this in YouTube. I will invite you, if you're here for the first time, don't forget to first of all, to let me know that you're watching. Share with me your opinion. Please leave a like. Also subscribe to the channel, to the podcast. If you're listening through any other platform, please share that also with your friends through Facebook. Follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. The links are in the description. And I will invite you all, if you really like the content that I produce in this podcast on my main channel or any other platform, please support me through Patreon in a monthly basis. You can give pretty much whatever you want to give, but it really helps me to build the content and to bring better content as we go on. My friends, I want to say God bless you. Take care, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.